Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, let me know if you can hear me there. I think everything's working all right. Good to see a few of you up and at it early. We've got Donna already here. Hey, Donna, good morning to you. We've got David. I just see if I can do this. And yeah, another beautiful day in paradise, indeed, David. Indeed. We've got Bryce as well. Hey, morning, Bryce. Oh, Facebook user. There's Bryce there. Luke as well. Hey, good morning, folks. Good to see you. Hope you're all awesome and well. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. I'm up in the Brizzy office today, hanging out with the team and the crew up here. Thought we'd wander on by. Fair bit going on, actually. I'm in South Brisbane, checking out a couple of my properties that are coming up for settlement real soon. So that's an interesting one. Looks like there might be a little bit of equity in those. Pretty happy with that. Hope you're all good, folks. I'll do the quick intros while things are warming up this morning. While everyone's getting themselves sorted. Jason is my name. If you didn't already know, welcome to a Wealth Coffee Chat. What do we do here every weekday? Well, we try to do it every weekday, folks, don't we? Well, you guys are always ready, but sometimes I'm a little bit, out of sequence. 8:10 each day. What are we trying to do? We're just trying to sort of sort out what's going on in the world of investing and trying to make sure that we don't get carried away, don't get caught up with what's going on when the media like to wind things up a little bit. The fear and ignorance machine, as we call them, the fear and ignorance machine, the media, and the the number one menaces, the politicians. But anyway, tell me in the chat, folks, what happened yesterday? What came out yesterday, which is good news? What came out yesterday, which is good news for us as investors? Actually, good news for all Australians. But what did we find out yesterday? Hey, morning, Kels. How are you, brother? Good to see you, man. Hey, we haven't chatted for ages, brother. We need to catch up. Deb, good morning. Morning. Inflation results, and inflation is down, folks. Inflation, that's it, Luke. You're onto it. Inflation results, slowing down of inflation. That's right, Mitchell. Donald Trump had it right. The fake media. You might be right about that. That's probably one of the only things I think he got right. But anyway, he's a pretty interesting cat, isn't he? There you go. Yep, let's catch up, man. Well, listen, folks. Inflation slowing down. I wouldn't be surprised. If the RBA gives it one kick in the guts before it turns around and drops interest rates. Who knows? Unfortunately, the government have done everything they can to spend as much money as they can to stimulate the economy, which is anti or counter getting inflation down, but it's certainly lower than expected figures, that's for sure, David. And we've all talked about this. There's one thing right now. Well, two things: inflation and interest rates that are holding back the real estate market. But anyway, today I wanted to talk to you guys about how do you increase your cash flow with your real estate. I thought we might talk about that one today. I did get a conversation the other day, or a thing in the chat saying, "Hey, can you talk about Airbnb?" And what I will do is I'll get one of my compadres here at the office to talk about Airbnb in depth a little bit later in the week, maybe next week. But today I thought I'd talk about the idea of increasing our cash flow, the things that we can do as investors that might be right under our nose that we can do to increase our cash flow with our real estate. And I've just done it right now. So the net cash flow in your pocket, how can we do that? What can we do to do that? Because some of us may be, may need to have a think about, where we're at and, tune up our cash flow when it comes to the idea of the holding costs of our real estate. Inflation has pushed up some of our prices and our costs. What can we do? All right. So how can we improve your cash flow? Cash flow, right, folks? There's a few main ones in here. The number one, the first one, the easiest, the simplest one. Put it in the chat if you guys think, if you guys have got some ideas of how you can improve your cash flow. What's the number one thing I see property investors not doing when it comes to their cash flow? Their weekly, monthly cash flow. They don't do it. They forget to do it, or they listen to an accountant who's lazy and they don't do it. What's the number one thing that improves cash flow? Boom. David is on it. PAYG variation, folks. PAYG variation, which means you get your tax back either weekly, monthly, or fortnightly, every fortnight, right? So, folks, listen, yeah, absolutely, get a discount. But the tax variations, it's the simplest, lowest hanging fruit, and it just drives me insane. It drives me crazy how many property investors are not doing it, all right? The government does not give you any interest. Listen, folks, if you owed the ATO money, let's say you owed the money for a whole year, what do they do? If you didn't pay your tax bill, or you owed them money for a year or 6 months or whatever, what do they do? Tell me what happens, folks. I've seen this. I've seen it in my my ATO portal. What do they charge you? What are they charging you, folks? And on the flip side, answer these two questions. If you owed them money, what are they doing? They're charging you what? And if they owe you money, which is what they owe you all year for your tax variations, are they paying you interest? The answer is no, right? So tax variations, get them done. If it sounds a bit challenging or a bit hard, folks, well, that's what your experts are for. That's what your accounting team's for. And if you've got a useless accountant, reach out to your coach or give me a call. We've got great accountants who do this stuff like it's exactly what has to happen. All right. Number two, everyone's been putting some stuff in here about lending and the banks. Absolutely. Call up the bank, ask for a discount. Like, tell them you're going to leave. Say, listen, give me a discount, reduce my rate. Right now, it's very, very competitive. So call your bank or your lender and so reduce my rate. Okay. At the moment, it's very competitive. Lots of refinance going on. Reduce your rate. Call them up straight away today. Listen, I know, and we did a coaching call the other day. Sharon, can you remember? It was with Louise Carr, right? We did a coaching call at Positive. If you're in our Positive mentoring program, we spent a whole hour on how to call the bank, what to say, and getting reductions in interest rates, folks. So call them up. These are the low-hanging fruit. Do your PAYG variation. And if you haven't done one, if you haven't got a proper paid professional variation, then you need to get it done. It'll cost you like $200 or $300. And then you'll get tax deductions. And call up your lender or your bank and say, drop my rate. Give me a discount or I'm leaving, because the interest rates are going to start to get competitive, folks. They're going to start to get competitive. And guess what? We have been told, and it's been happening. As everyone remember, when we talk about when you're going for a new loan, what do the lenders do? What they have to put something on top when you're qualifying for a loan. So let's say you're, the interest rate 6% at the moment. If you're going for a brand new loan, folks, what's the going on top of that rate right now that the lenders have to put on there? It's called the buffer rate. How much? What's the percentage? Right? Put that in the chat for me. I'll have a little sip of my coffee. It's called the assessment rate. You're dead right, Sharon, and it's 3%, folks. So you put 3% on top. Now you have to qualify for a loan for 9%. It's absolutely ludicrous. And then you're like, well, how the bloody hell am I ever going to get a new loan? And then so when you go to the bank and you go, all right, well, I want to change lenders. You might have qualified for this loan when the interest rate was actually 3%. Then the stress test was, an extra 3, that was 6%, so you could afford it, right? And now it's 9%. It's ludicrous. Even though you're paying, even though you can easily physically pay the dollars of the loan that you have, you can't afford to refinance it. It's bullshit, right? It's bullshit. And boom, you're dead right, Alison. Right now, folks, so you can call up your bank and say, reduce my rate or I'm leaving, right? Okay. That is totally true. Some lenders now, and actually a lot of them, Alison, a lot of the main ones, have reduced that assessment rate or buffer rate to 1%, folks. 1%. There you go. So here's the drill. Right now, for many, if your loan, if you haven't reset your loan, let's say for 3 years, the last couple of years, it's not worth refinancing 1 year later. However, if 3 years or longer, you should look to potentially refinance. Okay? And how do we refinance? What happens? All right. So if you want to improve your cash flow and you want to refinance, there's a couple of things that are pretty important. What are the two main things when you refinance? If you want to improve your cash flow, folks, the two things we want to do. We want to reset your loan to 30 years. It's called re-amortize. Okay. This is about cash flow. I'm not talking about paying off your properties. And to be honest, in the first 5 to 10 years, it's not about you paying off those properties. It's about you acquiring the properties. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Acquisition, consolidation, lifestyle, refinance. So reset your loan to 30 years. And what else? There's something very important if you want to improve your cash flow. Reset it to what? Sharon there. Refinance back out 30 years, dollars and terms, with the 1% assessment rate. Dead right. And also, for many of us, we were forced to pay principal and interest. Forced. They go, nah, you have to be, you boom, and you're dead right. David's on it. Boom, David. Yep, straight on it. Interest only. So I'm setting mine in for 5 years. There you go. So, folks, I've just done it myself across all of my loans. Not all of them actually. I refinanced 7. I refinanced 7 of my loans, my lending, and I saved myself just over $7,000. $7,000 a month, folks. Straight back in my pocket by refinancing, resetting, re-extending my terms, going to interest only where I was forced when it fell off interest only before. It had to click back over to principal interest for a while. So, folks, right now, the refinances, the blue, thanks, Brett. Sorry, folks, the blue's not showing up so great, so I'll change to black. Black's a lot better, isn't it? There we go. And so we've got your PAYG variation. You've got to, you call the lender and say, hey, reduce my rate, give me a discount. You're charging me too much. You've got refinance, folks. You've got refinance, okay, on the radar. Reset for 30 years, interest only. I saved a bucket load just recently as we go. And I had a question here from Brendan out there. But do you think the government has a plan to crunch investors as part of the plan to increase supply. Sadly, Brendan, I don't think the government has much of a plan to do anything. They're pretty useless, to be honest. You know what their plan is? Let's give multinational companies tax deductions that we're not going to give any other property investor to build properties that won't be enough. It won't reduce the rents. It doesn't bring any supply. Build to rent does not bring any supply to market. That's free market supply. It doesn't bring supply for owner occupiers. Doesn't bring up supply for first home buyers. Sadly, I think sadly it's pretty rubbish. Where you go, Brendan. There has been a small increase in investors selling, and it's a sad one that people get caught in that section where they may not have. Well, often if here's what I find, Brendan, when I talk to people who end up being forced to sell, the property is still doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is grow slowly in value and produce rental income and tax deductions. But the individual, the owner, the person, their situation has changed, so their income's dropped, or the cost, their interest rates have risen. So you've got sort of their income has gone down, or the interest rates have gone up. And Brendan, they did not put in place a buffer to see this stuff, right? So, folks, tell me, how long have we had interest rates go up? So we've had interest rates go up for 12 months, like slowly but steadily, right? So, you guys know that I talk about the equity lock all the time. Lock in your equity when you need it. Get access to that. Do your PAYG variation, your tax deductions, any extra cash flow that comes in, which is positive, it goes in your buffer account to manage your property for the future. I think, sadly, Brendan, most people who end up being, snookered to sell is a combination of their circumstances changing for whatever reason, or they had not enough buffer, financial backup per property to hold. Okay, so at the end, it's like, if that there will be what I call good time Charlies, folks. Good time Charlies. They're not committed. Listen to me, right? If you're not committed to sell, if you've got two cars, and this might piss some people off, but this is just the truth. If you've got two cars, right, and you don't need them, but you just kind of like to have them, and if you're not prepared to sell the spare car, because I've got clients who've actually sold both of their cars and now they catch the train to work, right, to hold your properties, then you're not a property investor. You're a good time Charlie. You're like, I'll do it if it works out, right? Sometimes you're ahead. Sometimes things are working out and, there's no stress. And sometimes there's some stress. You decide what's important. And if you think, the Netflix subscription, two cars plus extra stuff is more important than owning and keeping your property portfolio, then you're not a property investor. You're a good time Charlie, Anyway, that's my situation, folks, because it's not easy to do this. I say buy well, don't sell. Don't sell, right? And I can tell you in the future, if you hunker down and sometimes when the tough times come, you just have to make some sacrifices to keep things going, then you'll kick yourself if you sell it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth today on that one. There you go. And what do we got? Any advice when you're a business owner who can't do PAYG variation? Yeah, Donna, depending on how you own those properties and depending on how you pay yourself. So, Donna, what I would say is you need to catch up with your accountant. you can absolutely 100% benefit from the depreciation, Donna. And, you know, business owners, we all get, you know, we all have, you know, if you pay your tax, then you've got to do your, oh, I've had a mental blank now. What's the thing where you got to pay your quarterly installment? Yeah, your installment tax, right? So your installment tax, right? So if you have a salary and you pay yourself, Donna, you can do it. Like, there's no reason you can't. If you're paying yourself every fortnight, every month, and you're paying tax on that, PAYG tax, then you should be claiming your depreciation as you go, Donna. So maybe your accountant needs a kick in the bum. But yeah, listen, reach out to your coach, and they can help you talk you through it, Donna, as you go. So PAYG variation, get your tax back, folks. Like, get it done in whatever way, shape, or form. Call your bank right now. We've got a whole hour coaching in Kajabi. The coaching for you guys in mentoring is there. A whole hour how to call the bank and get your rates down. And right now, folks, right now is an excellent time to start thinking about your refinance. 2 or 3 months ago, they weren't dropping the refinance rate to 1%. It was 3%, and everyone was kind of stuck. But I can tell you, right now, you need to go and check. Reset your loans to 30 years. Get them interest only if you want, because then that'll improve your cash flow for the short term, and it'll rebuild your buffers as you go, okay, along the way. And last but not least, you know, see if you can get your rents up, okay? Rents up, folks. Look around, call your agent and say, hey, when was the last time we put the rent up? You know, what's the market doing? It's still moving along pretty fast. It's still pretty competitive with good quality properties out there, and you've got probably some wiggle room to get your rents up as well. Okay, and yeah, dead right, Brett. So. So here's what's coming, folks. Here's what we know. We all know this. This is not advice. You know, I'm not giving you advice because I don't know your personal circumstance. But, however, just be very, very cognizant and aware of locking interest rates in when we know this is what happens. You go do the research. Inflation is now coming down. The interest rates might have overshot. I think they're higher than they should be. And let's say the interest rates drop in, you know, late 23, maybe mid 24, then we're all going to be a lot better off. Anyway, there you go. There's my tips for today. I might do section 2 of this tomorrow, folks. So join me for that. Section 2. We're going to talk about how we now. So this is about improving my cash flow, increasing my cash flow when it comes to me. Like, what can I do? And tomorrow we'll talk about the ideas of what can we do to the property. What can the property do? What can we do to the property tomorrow? And you know, increase the cash flow of the property as well. So there you go. Anyway, folks, that's it. Wealth Coffee Chat done today. I thought I was going to get to both things today, but as I do, I rabbit on a bit. But hopefully that was useful. Remember, let's get our PAYG variation done and your depreciation schedule done. If you haven't had a proper professional one done, not by your accountant, not by, you know, a proper depreciation schedule done, get it done, right? Go call the bank and say, drop my rates. You guys are jamming me, and look to refinance the 1%. The buffer rates changed, and call your agent, see if you can get your rents up. All right, that's it for today, folks. Thanks for joining me. You guys take care. Join me tomorrow. We'll hang out again for another Wealth Coffee Chat about 8:10, and we'll do it all again. There you go. All right, folks. You guys take care. Remember, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time to build your portfolio. Stick with it. Hang in there, folks. Hang in there. That's it. Buy well, don't sell. Adios. See ya. Bye.